Anyone who's tried to put lined quilt pieces together knows that it can be really hard to manage because the sides aren't always perfect, and so the best way to do it is actually find the center of each beveled edge and join the quilt pieces that way. We can do this quickly and easily using an easy complete quilt template. Someone came up to me at Quilt Show and explained that it's very difficult to see these marks and the important features of this in a video. So I'm going to do something unusual. Normally I'd be marking on the white side of the fabric, and when you see the rest of my pieces, they will all be marked on the white side. But I'm going to flip this piece and mark the wrong side. I flipped my back piece so that the exterior is showing. This is not normally the way I would mark this piece, but I'm trying to provide a high contrast so you can get a good idea on how to correctly position the joining guides. In order to do that, we're going to use our centering template. This centering template has a lot of dots. I'm going to mark them with white. Okay, so the important thing to recognize on the centering template is you have a point right here. That falls somewhere along the cut edge of this angle. Sometimes it's right in the center. Sometimes it matches the cut edge. Other times it doesn't. The most important thing is, once that's positioned on the cut edge, the numbers on either side of the dots match. So if number 5 is over on this edge of the fabric here, this number 5 has to be on this edge of the fabric here. So I move my centering template into position, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see this is roughly 5.5, and that's roughly 5.5. Now all I do is drop my dots. And remember to do the fold 2 lines because they help you recognize how to fold the fabric if you need some guidance later on. You might as well. It only takes a minute to mark them. Make sure all your dots are marked, and then remove your template. The marks on the outside of the group of markings are used when joining an octagon to a square or rectangular piece. The marks in the very center, which appear to be a little bit longer than the ones on the exterior, are used when joining octagon pieces to other octagon pieces. Easy complete quilt templates and marking the center of each beveled edge helps minimize the inconsistencies that happen with sewing. In order to demonstrate this, I'm going to flip this piece because this angle is significantly different than that angle, and yet I can find the center, but I'm going to have different readings on these centering guidelines. These lines on the exterior are centering guides, and they're positioned on the edge of each quilt back in order to establish the center of each quilt beveled edge. When I position the template on the edge of the fabric, I get a reading of close to 5 on each side of my centering guides. I'm going to position dots in here, and then I'm going to move to the other side of the octagon and see what numbers come up there. You have to look at the numbers every single time. Every angle is not going to have the fabric land on 5. When I move the template over here, the numbers that come up are closer to 6. So I'm going to establish my center based on the guides, not on my last reading. So go to each and every angle and look at where the guide sits on the fabric edge. It may not be the same for every single angle, but I will tell you, even if it's different, you will get a consistent looking beveled edge, and you will get a consistent looking sash. And you will be able to maintain the octagon shape in the back, and your quilt will not skew during construction. All of the joining dots have been installed on this quilt piece. Now it's time to establish the line where the pieces will be stitched together. That is established by joining top dot to top dot. So you just use a ruler or straight edge, and you're just going to draw a line from top dot to top dot. And that is your stitching line to join these pieces to one another. Now that that's done, I'm going to install cross marks because I plan to embroider this for my pad stitching. Pad stitching may or may not be necessary in this size quilt piece, but I like to do it as a decoration, and it makes the back of the quilt look nice too when you use embroidery to do it. So I'm just folding my piece to get one cross mark, and then fold it the other way to get the second cross mark. And now I'm ready to install this in my embroidery machine and do some embroidered pad stitching.